Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a tutorial on this mauve soft cut crease with glitter on the lid. I know that these colors aren't very spring or summer appropriate, but I was just really feeling these colors. So to start off, I'm starting with the new Tarte Hybrid Gel Foundation, and I'm just dotting this all over my face like I normally do, and I'm gonna blend it out with my damp beauty blender. So far, I'm really liking this foundation. I've been trying it for a couple weeks now, and there's a lot to like about it. The coverage is really nice, which I don't normally go for full coverage, but I really like this one. The finish of it is kind of like a satin finish, and you can see right here as I'm blending it out, it is super full coverage, but it doesn't feel really heavy on the skin, and it doesn't sink into my smile lines like the rest of my foundations do, which is another reason why I really like this foundation. I also have seborrheic dermatitis around my nose, which is why my nose is always super red and it's super dry and flaky, and this doesn't draw attention to that. It doesn't cling on to the dry patches like others do. So yeah, I've really been enjoying this foundation so far. The only negative I have about this foundation is that it breaks up above my lip and on my chin, which is where I normally tend to break up with my foundations. But now I'm just priming my eyes with my Urban Decay Primer Potion like usual. And I'm also going to put a little bit of this underneath of my eyes because I crease really bad under my eyes, and sometimes I feel like bringing my eye primer under there kind of helps with my concealer to not crease as much as it usually does. Next, I'm gonna take my Z palette that has all of my Makeup Geek shadows in it, and I'm gonna take the shade Vanilla Bean, and I'm just putting that all over my eye to kind of set that eye primer, because sometimes it can be a little tacky and make things kind of hard to blend. And I do this pretty much every day because, like I said, it just helps blend everything together. But now I'm going to take the shade Beaches and Creams, and I'm just going to put that in my crease as well. This step is probably unnecessary because I end up covering it with the next shade that I use, but it just helps to blend everything together. I want everything super blended, so I normally do this step even though most of the time it just ends up getting covered up. So now I zoomed you guys in super close so you can really see everything that I'm doing, but I'm just taking the shade Confection, and I'm taking that on my Morphe E27. It's just a fluffy blending brush, and I'm putting that in my crease also, which is why I said that Beaches and Cream was a little unnecessary, because you can see here that I'm pretty much just covering it up with the shade Confection, but like I said, it's just all to help blend everything together. So you can skip Beaches and Cream if you want, but I did it just to be a little extra. And next I'm taking this sort of flatter brush. I think this is in M433, I want to say, but I'm taking the shade Petal Pusher. And I'm taking that brush on its side, and I'm putting this in the crease as well. I'm not bringing it up as high as I did with Confection because this is going to be a little bit of like a cut crease. So I'm just putting this directly in the crease, and I'm not bringing it up too high. And I'm not being too precise about not getting this on my lid because I'm going to go in with something lighter to clean it up. I'm just focusing on not bringing it up too high in my crease. Now I'm taking the shade Unexpected on a small pointed precision brush, and I'm just again focusing this in my crease. The shade is just a little bit darker than the last one that we used, so it's just adding another layer of dimension to this look. It's all about adding and blending and adding and blending and just going back and forth until you feel that your look is where you want it to be. Next, I'm going to mix the shades Drama Queen and Unexpected on the same brush that I was using before, and once again putting it in my crease. I'm being really careful with this shade because I don't want to blend it up at all. I want it to stay right in my crease to really give that extra step of dimension that we need for this to be considered a cut crease. Even though I want this to be a softer cut crease, it still needs that extra step of dimension for it to look like a cut crease. Next, I'm taking a ColourPop shadow. It's called Bites, and it's just a plain white cream eyeshadow. You can use really whatever you want for this. You can use the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk. Whatever white base you have, you can use for this. But as you can see, I'm just putting this all over my lid, and this is why I said that I wasn't worried about getting shadow on my lid, because this is gonna cover it up. But I'm pretty much just carving out my crease and creating the shape that I want for this cut crease look. And next I'm going to go in with another ColourPop eyeshadow, and this is in the shade I Heart This. It's a really pretty kind of taupey, bronzy, glittery shadow. And I'm just going to put that right on top of the white base that we put down. And I'm also just using the same brush that we used before. I normally just use my fingers for ColourPop shadows, but I found that this brush actually does a pretty good job of picking up and depositing the shadow how I want it to. Next, I'm taking my Mika Cosmetics gel liner, and I ended up doing this off camera because for some reason I was having problems putting my liner on over top of this glitter shadow. And once I was done putting on my liner, I did do my brows and put my mascara on off of camera. I used my Maybelline Cat Eyes Colossal Mascara and my BH Cosmetics eyebrow pencil. And moving back to the face, I'm taking my Becca Under Eye Corrector and just putting this underneath my eyes where I have some darkness, and I'm using a Luxie concealer brush for this. I like this under eye corrector because of its, I guess because of its formula and texture, but as for the shade, it's not really my favorite. But I'm just really lightly tapping that out with the new Beauty Blusher. It's just the Beauty Blender, but a little bit smaller than the normal Beauty Blender. And now I'm just taking my Urban Decay Weightless Naked Concealer, and I'm highlighting my face with it like I usually do, underneath my eyes, on the bridge of my nose, and a little bit on my forehead. And I'm blending that out with the same beauty blusher that I was using before. After blending my under eye out, I immediately go in with my Maybelline Studio Fix powder on my beauty blender, and I place that right underneath of my eye. I found that this is the best way so far to prolong the wear of my concealer and to help prevent it from creasing at least a little bit. Now I'm taking this more warm shade from the Morphe Contour Kit, and I'm using a Vasanti brush. I believe this is supposed to be the blush brush, but I like to use it for contouring and bronzing. The shade is just a little too warm for me to contour with, so right now I'm just bronzing. On camera, this isn't showing up as warm as it is in person. It's just a little bit warmer. It's not like super orangey or anything like that, but it's definitely more of a bronzer for me than a contour shade. And now I'm taking that middle shade, which is much cooler, and that's what I typically use to contour with from this kit. And I'm just using a small, round, fluffy brush. I believe this is from Morphe as well. I like to use this brush to contour with if I want like a softer, more diffused contour. Next, I'm just taking my, I think, M502, and I'm just wiping away all that excess powder that was sitting underneath of my eyes from before. Now I'm taking ColourPop's highlight in Stole the Show, and I'm just dabbing this on my cheeks with my finger. And I did also put this on the bridge of my nose, the tip of my nose, and my Cupid's bow. And I do go in with another highlighter on top. I just like to put this down first because it really intensifies any other highlight that I'm going to be using. I do really like to wear this highlight on its own too, though. But now I'm taking Urban Decay's blush in the shade Rapture, and I know that this shade looks really scary and really dark, but as you can see, it's not. If you just use a light hand, it goes on really nicely. It's a really beautiful pinky mauve shade. I love it. It's one of my favorite blushes that I have, actually. It's just so gorgeous, and it's so not spring or summer appropriate, but that's okay. Now I'm going to take this mini Becca Moonstone highlight, and I'm going to put that on the tops of my cheeks as well, down the bridge of my nose, and on my Cupid's bow, just right on top of that ColourPop highlight. And you can see what a difference the ColourPop highlight makes whenever putting this on top. Now we're going back to the eyes, and I'm taking the shade Quartz from my Lorac Pro Metal palette, and I'm just taking any little brush that I have and popping this on the inner corners. This is my favorite inner corner highlight ever. I love it so much. It's really intense if you pack it on. And now going back to my Z palette, I'm taking the shade Beaches and Cream again, and I'm just going to run this underneath of my lash line to add some dimension so it's not so naked. And then taking the shade Confection and running that underneath of the lash line as well. But that's all I'm going to do. I don't want my under eyes to look super smoked out or anything like that. And then I soaked my face with my Urban Decay setting spray, and I coated my lower lashes with my Maybelline Lash Stiletto Mascara. And now I'm taking ColourPop's lip liner in Chi, and I'm filling in my whole lips with this. For some reason I didn't get a shot of this, but I put on ColourPop's Ultra Satin Lip in Little Sicious, and that was it. That was the completed look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye guys!